Moving over to our clothing, I'm gonna go back to object mode here. I'm gonna hide my hand low, my head low, bring up my hat low, my tracksuit and shoes, right? All these will fit in the same UV sheet, so let's kind of bring them up here. So I'm gonna start off with the hat low, and let's add a new material here. So we're gonna go new, we're gonna call it clothing underscore material. Now we're gonna assign it to the shoes and to the tracksuit as well. Nice. Now here on the actual clothing material, we want to go to its base color, press the little yellow dot, and then under texture, again, select image texture. So we want to assign that same checker grid texture. So we're going to go to this little image icon and select that exact image. So now we can actually start creating some UVs here. So for the tracksuit, we're going to select all the actual seams that we sculpted in our high resolution sculpt. So usually that's what you want to do with your UV seams for your clothing. You always want to match them to real life um, clothing seams, so that way it's less noticeable if you have any texture seams or anything like that. It protects you from anything looking kind of off. So going into edit mode here, gonna switch over to edge mode. So I know I need this shoulder seam here. And if you kind of forgot which edges are what, you can always go over to our high poly collection, right? I'm just kind of collapsing all the collections so it's easier to see. You can turn it back on, hide the ones you don't want, right? And so then here you can kind of pick the edge loops that are needed, right? So I need this one, which lines up with that one, which lines up here. Cool. Then I also need the collar here. Okay. That's good. I could do the zipper if I wanted to, but I don't think I will. We do want to select one here on the shoulders to separate the front of the jacket and the back of the jacket. So I think I'm going to go with this one here. And so then I'm going to hide my high poly for now. I can always bring it back up because I do want to deselect some things here. So I'm probably going to deselect these on the collar trim. Oops. I also want to deselect these on the sleeve as I'm already going to split it down here. I don't need to split it up here as well. But I could, because it does line up with an actual seam on the sculpt. But me personally, I think one split is enough. So let me deselect these. Deselect these. And then I want to select the sleeve cap here. So probably select one more edge loop here. Then double click that inner loop. All right. Now for the pants here, let me bring back my high poly. I actually want to do, yeah, I want to deselect these. No, let me deselect these. Yeah, because this one isn't fully matching with the actual seam. And I want to select these here. Um, so I'm just gonna, okay. I'm gonna hide my high poly for now. I will connect these here. Well, I want to double click because I do want to separate the jacket from the pants. And then I want to deselect these here. I am gonna hide the shoes for now to focus a little bit more on the pants. Then here I just want to select these. And similar to the sleeves, I want to select the, I think we can go with this one. This edge loop that separates the cap from the rest of the pants. Okay. Now we also want to do an inside seam on the pants. If I remember correctly, I don't think we sculpted a seam there. No. So I can pretty much select the one I want. Probably gonna go with this middle one here, and then just deselect these edge loops here. So now I can start repeating the process on the other side. So select this edge loop here, deselect these. Now I need the high poly again. I need to select this edge loop. Uh, okay. Let me hide my high poly. I need to select this one here to match with my jacket. But I can deselect these here. Let me see. Just want to make sure. Right. I don't need these here. I don't need these here. Then if I remember correctly, it was that one, right? Yep. Okay, that one's good. Okay. Now I want to separate the actual trim collar here. So I'm gonna select these edge loops here. And this one here. And then separate the cap as well. So that will be its own piece. We'll start off with that. So I'm gonna right click, mark seam. Cool. Then we can go ahead and move on to the shoes here. I'm gonna hide the tracksuit. So for this, I want to separate the sole on both sides. Also want to select the back part of the shoe here. Let me see. This one here. Oop, just selected everything. So okay. And then I want to select the top of the shoe here. So that should be pretty good. I'm going to right click, mark seam. The next thing, we're going to work on the hat. Okay. So for this, we automatically want to separate the actual hat from the hair. here. And I think that should be good there. Now we also want to separate the brim from the hat base. And then the bottom of the brim as well. Okay. That should be good. And then in terms of the hair, we kind of want to do a similar thing to the head where we kind of split it in the middle. I'm probably just going to do it all the way before it starts becoming too noticeable. Probably something like that. And then we can go ahead, right click. I think it should be pretty good. We might have to separate the straps, but for now, I'm just going to go right click and mark seams. So once we've kind of marked it all, I'm going to bring back the other pieces here. So the shoes and the tracksuit. And then Control Shift and add them to edit mode here. Going to go to my faces, Control A, right click, UV unwrap faces, unwrap minimum stretch. So now you can see it all kind of unfolded here. I did forget this edge here to separate this sleeve from the actual jacket, and then I also got to do this back seam here. Right click, mark seam. So you can always go back and add more seams if you need it. I think that's pretty good. Gonna go back to my faces here. Click A, UV unwrap faces, unwrap minimum stretch. Okay. So now you can kind of see how the different parts here have been unwrapped. Here you can kind of see what. So this is the actual hat here. Oh, we can see the pants didn't get split here. So let me, I see. Yep. Gonna hide the shoes real quick. Gonna go into edge mode. Gonna select these edges here. And right click, mark seam. Okay, so now we can select all this again and unfold again. Cool. You can see the shoes are there. These are some of the caps that we have. But you can see how nicely the front and the back of the jacket are nicely unfolded. The top of the hat base is pretty nicely unfolded too. Even the straps are pretty good. If we take a look at our checkers, right, we're not seeing that much stretching. So that's pretty awesome. We see a little bit here on the hair, but honestly, it's not too bad. The hat, for the most part, looks pretty good. And then the straps here, not too bad. So I think we can go with that. Let me look at the trim here. I think that looks pretty solid. So definitely take a look around at your model. Let's see if you see any kind of visible stretching. I'm going to check the shoes as well. That looks pretty good. So it did a pretty good job. By selecting the proper edge loops, Blender should be able to unfold this stuff pretty good without any kind of manual kind of touch-ups. Now we do get a little bit of stretching here, but the head is pretty much covering this area, so I'm not too worried. So I'm probably gonna go with this. And now we want to kind of arrange this a little bit better. Um, so we use this space a little bit more efficiently. So it may take a little bit of a couple of tries to kind of see how we're gonna arrange this, but I'm gonna select everything, uh, kind of move it out the way, and then I'm gonna start with the jacket here and start kind of placing it where I want it. I want to rotate this 180 degrees here. There we go. Then we can move this right next to it. You know, you also kind of want your layout to make sense. You want to group the stuff that kind of goes together. So I'm probably going to put the sleeves over here. So those are these right here. I'll leave them like this. Let's see. Cool. And I'll probably want to put the caps in there somewhere. So let's see which one. Which one's the right cap here? No, not that one. This one. Nope. There we go. So it's going to be these two are the sleeve caps. We're probably going to place these in here for now. Now I probably want to do the pants. So let's probably move those over here. It's not my favorite unfold, honestly, if I'm being honest here. So I may try something here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and add a couple more seams here. So maybe it unfolds a little bit better. And so here in edge mode here, I'm going to select these loops by the growing. Okay, then we're going to mark those as seams. So then go back to face mode, select everything again. And let's go unwrap minimum stretch. And now you will see how much straighter those are, which will be kind of easier to organize. And so let's kind of go ahead and just move this over again. Cool. Oops. And so let's take our jacket stuff again. Move it over here. Take this one, rotate it 180. There we go. Place it next to the other one. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. I'll bring over my sleeves here. Cool. I'll worry about the caps later. Right now I just want to get all my big UV shells in place first. So let's bring over the pants stuff. Right. Cool. Now I can rotate this one 180, something like that. Now we can do these other ones here so we can keep our pants and our tracksuit all kind of together here. Bring over my other leg. Then we can fit the hair since it's one of the bigger UV shells here. So I'm probably gonna keep it like this and bring in my hats since it does take up a lot of space. But I do want kind of the bottom to be the bottom, the top, well, the back of it to be the bottom, and then the front to be the top. Um, place this over here. Oh, this is the collar trim. So I do want to place it with the jacket stuff. Rotate it here. Kind of place it in here. Okay, this is the cap stuff, the brim. So I'm going to rotate it here. Okay, this is the other brim part as well. Gonna place it here. Alright, as you can see, it starts looking a little bit more organized than like the default setup. So then we can start placing the shoe stuff here. Other shoe stuff here. Maybe we'll put those over here. I don't know, we'll see. Then we have all this other stuff. So we're still gonna have plenty of room. So we can actually take this and then we're gonna scale it all up. So, right, so now we'll be able to kind of take advantage of the space even better than its original layout. So uh, I can kind of start moving some of this stuff closer together, right? Start moving this stuff closer together, but still giving it enough space to kind of breathe. That way, when you bake your textures, um, the edge padding, so the spacing in between the UVs, there's enough room for the colors to kind of bleed. Um, and so it will cause less texture seams. All right. So it's always important to give your UV shells a little bit of space. Okay. Ooh, these are starting to get a little close here. Something like that. Oof, but I don't think these fit anymore. So probably gonna have to move this over here. I always had a feeling that was gonna be the case. Okay. Let's see if I can put the shoes over here. Kind of rotate this around and bring this one over. Yeah, it kind of fits here. Something like that. There we go. But then here we're not able to put our brim there, so probably place it somewhere over here. Keep these two together. Then we can start filling in the gaps here. Probably put the soles of the shoes here together. Then I gotta figure out what's what. Let me see, which one's this one? Is it this one? Okay, so these are the sleeves. We can keep those over here with the other sleeve stuff. There we go. This, I think, is going to be the top here. Nope. Is it this one? Okay, yeah. Let's see if we can fit it somewhere over here. There we go. What is all this? Has to be the top of the shoe, I believe. Let me hide the pants for now. Okay, so these are the top of the shoe here. Let me bring back the tracksuit. And so then these are part of the pants. It doesn't matter. We're going to put them in the same spot anyway. We're going to fill in the gap here created by the hair and just put the other caps in there. All right, we can make another pass, scale everything up again, try to get everything a little bit closer together. But honestly, I think this feels pretty good for our purposes. Um, right? I think for the most part, we are taking up most of the image. We were able to scale it up to try to get a little bit more resolution. Um, right? Maybe I can shift these up a little bit. That way I can actually rotate this like this. Okay. Yeah, I think that will serve what we need for our UVs. But as you can see, right, we were able to organize it more, group uh, different elements that kind of go together so we kind of know what's what, and kind of make like the most use of our space as much as possible. So next we will be moving over to the eyes. That one should be a fairly quick process.